Hello and welcome YouTube and Grim Dawn community. Today it's time for yet another build highlight video of mine. I'm gonna show you my ranged dual wield Gargabol's pistol Defiler. So this is basically a Vitality Fire Strike build, with the core of the build being the freshly updated Gargabol pistols. These pistols have been a caster pistol for a very long time, but now with patch 1.1.7 they have finally become a dual wield attack speed based pistol. So these pistols are now perfect for example, this build. The Corruption of Gargabol, a legendary monster frequent from Gargabol, the boss from the Ancient Grove, gives you +1 Demolitionist and +1 Necromancer, so basically +1 to all of your skills on this character. It has flat as well as percent vitality damage. It has vitality damage added towards thermite mines, as well as fire and chaos conversion to thermite mines, and also on top of that, most importantly, 15% vitality resistance reduction to thermite mines. So if you have two of these, you will have 30% vitality resistance reduction on thermite mines, basically making your Defiler a dual resistance reduction class. Even more importantly, it has flat vitality damage as well as elemental damage to vitality conversion to flame touch, meaning that as long as you use flame touched, which you will obviously do on a demolitionist, you will convert all of your global elemental damage towards vitality, including all the damage on fire strike. It also has crit damage as well as 45% Aether to vitality conversion to Harbinger of Souls, which means again that as long as you have Harbinger of Souls active, which you will whenever you're playing a vitality Defiler, and you have two of these pistols, you will convert 90% of your Aether to Vitality, again globally, so it will also affect things like Spectral Binding. Now you basically already have a full Vitality Fire Strike because of these weapons, except for the Chaos part, and this is where the Conduit of Destructive Whispers comes into place. The Conduit of Destructive Whispers with a specific role for Fire Strike, which has Vitality damage as well as Fire and Chaos to Vitality conversion to Fire Strike locally, will take care of any remaining chaos damage that wasn't converted towards vitality to fire strike yet. So basically this conduit, together with two of these pistols, will give you a pure vitality fire strike experience. On top of that, another mandatory item is gonna be an item that allows me to dual wield, because the Defiler by itself cannot dual wield. So you need either a medal, a relic, or a chest piece for that. In this case, I'm using the mythical Gunslinger's Jacket. The build was able to do all of main campaign, all dungeon bosses, SR 35 to 36 as well as SR 50 to 51, and then I was also able to do the super bosses Lokarr, Burn Clones, and Mogjogan. The build can probably also clear SR 65 to 66 and higher, as well as Crucible Gladiator 150 to 170, but I haven't tried those myself yet, and that might be eventually a little bit sketchy in hardcore, but on softcore it should be definitely viable for that. So if you always wanted to play a dual wield ranged pistol build that has insane damage, insane lifesteal through, for example, Harbinger of Souls, can clear most content, and that also relies on two weapons which you can target farm from the Ancient Grove dungeon, as well as the Conduit which you can basically also target from the Tomb of the Heretic dungeon, then this build is for you. And also you can show off a bit with this build, because the Defiler is generally considered to be one of the weakest classes in the game, but this build is anything but weak. Just wanna see how much has physical. Okay, never mind. Yeah, this is why you need good physical resistance against Ravager, right? He instantly procced my Serenity, are you kidding me? No, that's not gonna happen. not today. Alright, so let's talk about skill point allocation here. We are a Defiler, so a Demolitionist and a Necromancer. And Demolitionist is basically the main class here, because we are playing around Fire Strike, even though this is a Vitality build. So 19 out of 12 Fire Strike here, 6 out of 12 Explosive Strike, so just a 1-pointer, 17 out of 12 Static Strike, and 17 out of 12 Brimstone. Basically you max out all of these except for 1-pointing. Explosive Strike can be put to up to the soft cap if you feel like you need more AoE, and Static Strike could be removed for that instead if you feel like you don't need as much single target damage. But I felt like the build already has insane AoE because of Brimstone, splintering the fragments, etc. Right? It just has really good AoE, and the flat lightning damage on Static Strike will also be converted towards Vitality because of the Gargabol pistols. Then also we have maxed out Flame Touched for the fire to Vitality conversion, which is attached to this one through the Gargabol pistols, and also this gives me additional flat Vitality and flat offensive ability. Also 1-pointing Temper for some DA, that's okay. Then 14 out of 12 Blast Shield for the very nice defensive circuit breaker. Really good, really important here for basically any demolitionist. On top of that, we have 12 out of 12 Blackwater Cocktail and 12 out of 12 Agonizing Flames. This one for flat resistance reduction and this one for offensive ability shred. This combined with high potency, which basically gives us a longer duration and also reduces physical damage, is pretty nice as a AoE debuff. Flashbang, on the other hand, has defensive ability Shred compared to the OA Shred here in Blackwater Cocktail, and it's also really great to use because it also confuses some trash mobs, which can be helpful sometimes. Even more importantly, defensively, is Searing Light. 29% fumble and 29% impaired aim helps us dodge basically melee and like some of the melee and range attacks that otherwise would hit us. Then another very needed buff is Vindictive Flame because of the total speed here, either 11 out of 16 or 14 out of 16 out of the 2 different sweet spots. I went for 11 here because I felt like, well, I rather want to put the points into say Blast Shield than into even more damage. Also 1 point into Uzin's Wrath, because yeah, 1 point here is fine. Thermite Mine, actually a 1 pointer here and a 1 pointer here. We just need to 1 point those because the Vitality resistance reduction on those comes from our Gargabol pistols anyways. And then I also went for 1 point here because it does also convert the Chaos damage to Vitality to this one. And 1 point for 6 points does give me some decent like damage on top of that. Moving over to the Necromancer, the most important skill here is, I would say, actually Bone Harvest. 1 point here, 1 point here for the extra range, and then 22 points for Soul Harvest. Now Soul Harvest is really great because it does give you lots of Vitality damage, and also cold damage, flat cold damage, which will be converted towards Vitality as well through the global Elemental to Vitality conversion. Necromancer also has our exclusive skill, Harbinger of Souls, for lifesteal, attack speed and more Vitality damage. Since this is a default attack replacer build, with Final Strike in this case, weapon pool skills are really important. So in this case, Reaping Strike at 25% chance to be used on 9 out of 10, and Necrotic Edge at 8 out of 12 for 24% chance to be used, which puts our total like weapon pool skill chance at 49% for now, just for masteries. There will be more through gear. Then also we have maxed out Spectral Binding for offensive ability and HP, as well as flat Aether damage, which will be also converted towards Vitality through Gargabol pistols and my shoulders. 18 out of 10 Spectral Wrath for Vitality damage and Vitality resistance shred whenever I get hit. So this will, while it's not gonna proc as often on a ranged build, it will always proc against enemies where you will actually need this, because like it's kinda impossible to dodge every single attack of like a really strong boss anyway. Also this is passive, so you don't need to cast anything. This is actually a great ability. Next up we have 10 out of 10 Ill Omen. I'm just using this for the 25% damage reduction, basically across the board, all damage types as well. So this is really great and should probably be used on pretty much every Necromancer, unless you prefer to use DK instead. You can also use like 1 point to RE and 12 points into DK for a similar amount of damage reduction. It's actually a little bit lower, but it has like a little bit better uptime overall. Also 1 point in this case into Mark of Torment, giving us 6 out of 10 Mark of Torment, which basically already puts me to the sweet spot being 6 out of 10 here. And this is also another ability that basically every Necromancer should use in the end game as another defensive absorption ability. Alright, let's move over to the devotions. For devotions, I'm using actually 2 tier 3 devotions, number 1 being Ratosh. Ratosh is kind of like a mandatory devotion for basically every single Vitality build, because it does have Vitality resistance reduction and life leech resistance reduction on the proc. And then the other one is usually Hungering Void for Vitality builds, right? But in this case, I'm actually using Abominable Might instead, because on the last patch, this got changed to also have Vitality damage, like percent Vitality damage, here and also on this node. Now, on top of that, it does give me like lots of flat kills, which will be converted towards Vitality through the conversion on my conduit. So in this specific build, in this specific case, Abominable Might is actually way better than Hungering Void in my opinion. Other devotions worth mentioning are, for example, the Wendigo, which has Vitality damage and another like leech on the ability itself, and also this node here got buffed to also have attack speed now, so this one gives you attack speed and physical resistance, so that's a very solid node as well. When it comes to other tier 1 devotions that are worth mentioning, well, Ghoul is the circuit breaker of your choice, right? Ghoul is like the circuit breaker that basically any weapon damage based character should use. This one gives you like insane lifesteal, attack speed and physical resistance whenever you drop below 45% HP. Really strong. Basically all you need, combined with maybe Serenity, to keep you alive. The other tier 1 devotions are basically filler devotions, right? You have Spider for offensive ability, defensive ability and attack speed, Raven for offensive ability, and the Hawk for offensive ability and also cunning reduction, which makes you need to put less points into cunning to wield your weapons. And then also we have Jackal for total speed and physical resistance, Panther, Eel and Lotus. Well, yeah, these are like good filler devotions as well, just to bring up your affinity. And then last but not least, we also have Watcher, which is actually another tier 2 devotion, which is like a really good defensive devotion all around for like armor, resistances, and also lots of defensive ability. Now let's also talk about the gear real quick. I already told you about Corruptions of Gargabol, right? These pistols and also the Coin of Destructive Whispers, as well as the Gunslinger's Jacket. Now the other items that are not as mandatory, but which I chose here, are for example Mythical Band of Wandering Souls for cold and vitality flat damage, which will also be converted fully to vitality again, and +2 to Soul Harvest, and as well as like vitality and aether resistances. The other ring I'm using is the Mythical Combustion Band for flat fire, which will be converted to vitality and attack speed, and also +2 to Fire Strike, which is pretty nice for the ability itself. This does not, however, give me % vitality damage, so feel free to use another ring maybe instead, which also has like vitality resistance shred maybe. That is certainly a possibility to use instead of this one. I'm not 100% sold on this one yet. Also note that in this case I'm actually using one Frozen Heart here on the ring, because my freeze and petrify resistance was not that great on this build in general. Like CC resistances are actually not that great in general, as you can see. Even Trap is at 0% right now. For shoulders I'm using Dread Knight's Guard, which has total speed and another like aether to vitality conversion, which together with the conversion from Gargabol's pistols basically gives me 100% aether to vitality conversion globally, and also +3 to Spectral Wrath. This is a really nice shoulder piece. You can, however, also use Shadow Flame Mantle, which has +4 to Brimstone, and 4 points to Brimstone is always sick as well. You could use that instead. I feel like Dread Knight's Guard overall is like maybe a little bit more defensive choice here instead. But yeah, Shadow Flame Mantle is really nice as well. For gloves, I think these are basically best in slot, like there is nothing close to these. These are like basically the only pair of gloves which has attack speed combined with % vitality damage, so this is really good. Also it has flat kills, which will again be converted towards vitality. For boots I'm using Bone Shattered Treads for +2 Reaping Strike, Slow Rest, Lively Treads and physical resistance, as well as offensive ability. These are pretty good in my opinion, and I'm using them here, but you don't have to use them. Like you can certainly use different pair of boots if you want to. Now for pants I'm using Reaper's Leg Guards, mostly for +3 to Soul Harvest, and the affixes are in this case kind of decent, I would say. Starboard of Incantations is not too bad, it's like okay, but you can also like certainly get even better ones here instead. For the belt I'm using the Stalwart Lunar Vargoth Wasteguard of the Sea. The belt itself, the base is really good, like +1 Necromancer, Chaos to Wit conversion as well globally, which does help out converting the chaos damage from the Seals of the Void, which I'm gonna talk about here in a second. But yeah, the affixes are kinda terrible. Like Starward of the Sea is, I mean Starward is good, but of the Sea is like horrible, and yeah, like you can definitely get way better affixes. I just don't like farming the boss that drops this too much, and I also don't do SR like that much, so that I don't really have like a lot of these belts. But yeah, it should be also rather easy to find a better belt on this. This just shows you that you can also play the build without like perfect affixes, right? For the metal I'm using a Demonic Mark of Plagueis of Decay. Now these affixes are actually really nice. Decay gives me like more % vitality damage, and Demonic gives me like Chaos Rest and Stun Rest and stuff like that, right? Also the Mark of Plagueis itself gives me like +3 to Harbinger of Souls, and also vitality damage to Harbinger of Souls, which is really good. The acid damage on this one will actually not be converted to vitality sadly, but I mean the metal is still really good. It's not mandatory though, you can use another one instead. But yeah, I just found this with these pretty decent affixes here, so I just went with this one. Also note that I'm using a Tainted Heart as well as a Rune of Displacement on this one, giving me this teleport ability here, right? But you can definitely use something else instead. Like in theory, on range builds like these, a Disengage, for example, should be really awesome. I just personally think they're a bit clunky, so I don't use them. Feel free to use whatever you would like to use here as a movement augment instead. Also for the relic, I'm using Serenity, right? This one has +1 all skulls. Really solid overall, very defensive proc, very nice for hardcore, and also like Aether and Chaos Rest and HP and movement speed is pretty good as well. The completion bonus reduced freeze duration, while generally being rather a bad completion bonus. In this case, it does help me a little bit with my freeze rest, but I mean you could just use Hoarfrost Ointment for that, so I don't know. Yeah, it's still pretty bad actually. You can definitely get a better completion bonus here instead. Now for the helmet, I'm actually using Ravager's Dreadgaze. Now obviously you have to kill Ravager for you to be able to equip this item. That said, you can also, for example, always use Fatten Mask instead for like +1 all skills, right? Fatten Mask is a like super easy to get item in Act 7. Very good replacement for a Ravager's Dreadgaze actually, because it has have that same +1 all skills instead. Use Fatten Mask instead, in my opinion, if you don't have Ravagers. There is also the possibility to use Okoloth's Visage, which is the one that drops from the Messenger boss in Act 7. That one is also, well, harder to get than Fatten Mask, but way easier to get than Ravager's Dreadgaze, right? And you could use that one as well, because it does have bonuses to Fire Strike. And that can be pretty juicy as well. You would, however, lose +1 all skills I also wanted to quickly talk about Seal of the Void, right? Seal of the Void is really good because Seal of the Void does give you attack speed and also flat chaos damage, which will be converted fully to vitality damage. And also on top of that, Seal of the Void has a Burning Void weapon pool skill, so you get 2 of these, right? 16% chance each, which will put your total weapon pool skill proc chance to 81%. Also note that the chaos damage on this one will actually be not affected by the chaos to vitality conversion on the Conduit of Destructive Whispers, so for that chaos damage on the weapon pool skill itself, the global conversion from the Neural Valgoth Wasteguard, the chaos to vit conversion here, will be actually useful. Alright, let me also show you the build in action a bit. Let me show you a dummy kill time very quick here first, and then we can do some other bosses. So the kill time around 25 seconds right now. Pretty decent, I would say, for a ball like this. Oh. So first of all, let's do the real endgame of Grim Dawn, right, which is bloom farming. Yeah, blooms are very important to get. If you want to do multiple characters at least. And also I haven't done actually Kra'vall yet, I want the Kraken over here, so let's do the Kraken here as well. Don't be afraid to proc your like last shit, right? That's totally fine. Oh. Maybe you shouldn't proc your Serenity there. That was yeah, I took lots of burst damage there after my blast shield was done. Oh well, should have maybe used like Mark of Torment, what am I doing? Alright, let's go for the Grove. There's like a skill disruption pool here. There's like one crab that has like skill disruption pools. He is really annoying. If you get him here in this room, the room becomes like significantly harder. I didn't really see him because he like died too quickly, but I did notice that I wasn't able to like port out, for example, like port back because I got skill disrupted somehow. I always remember to check out this shop here, Vinoton, for like either monster frequents or also blueprints, right? That's pretty good. Can also like sell you, like Essence of the Grim Dawn, Shadow Baronath, right? Some blueprints that you might not have yet, and also some good rings maybe. Alright, onto the snake, right? The snake. I mean, yeah. Rather easy, I would say. Oh, there's a Deathstalker here, right? You can already see this by the Aura of Darkness. So once you see that, be prepared to face the Kitty. I mean, and she died. But yeah, for some characters, she can be like really scary, so you have to be wary of the Aura of Darkness. Like you might actually see that aura before you actually see her, right? So that can be kind of helpful. Also, where's the running Bulbasaur crab? Oh, there he is. Oh, Krabby number 1. I mean Krabby number 2, rather. Bulbasaur. Alright, also if you haven't been to this place yet, right, you should always check out this place over here. The first time you go here, you will get like some bonus chests here. I've already been here though, I think, so there is only one chest and not 3 of them. But it's kind of worth it to like go here once, at least, once per character. Alright, Gargabol himself. So against Gargabol you have actually a really good kill time if you kill the second phase before he spawns his false volcano. So basically we're gonna try to do that, right? So we're not gonna use Mark of Torment on the first one, the first stage. Let's make sure to have all of this down here. Now also use the Ramagers one, right, and use Mark of Torment. First stage 2, and then just keep on attack him. You're gonna be fine, you have your procs, and boom, I mean yeah, you can just kill him really quick before his volcanoes even spawn. And yeah, this is the boss that also drops you the pistols, if you get lucky, right? Obviously, if you already have this build, you don't have to farm him for the pistols anymore, but yeah, if you kinda... I don't know, if you're playing either a Defiler, which doesn't have the weapons yet, you can farm this boss to farm the weapons, or just farm them on like another character prior to this one, right? Alright, the other dungeon I'm gonna show you here is the Tomb of the Heretic, which is obviously like considered to be the hardest dungeon in the game. So let's do that. Now the scary thing about this character and this dungeon is gonna be that lots of enemies can petrify you, and petrification resistance is pretty abysmal, right? 21% just from one frozen heart. Like without the frozen heart it's actually 0%. So if you get petrification resistance on like, I don't know, some affixes for example from your green weapons, that is like very good. So I mean, I don't have that. I was still able to clear this dungeon once, so let's see how we fare on this run here. And yeah, why is petrification resistance so important here in this dungeon? Well, because basically every enemy that has like a purple ball projectile can petrify you, so you either wanna not get hit by those or just have good petrify resistance. So let's see how we fare against these Magis here. Alright, hit number 1. Number 2 is gonna actually use his RR. Not to just kill him anyway, right. Nice. Alright, let's also see how we fare against this death room here. The last time I was actually able to just face tank everything here in the middle, which not every build can do. So let's try this again here, maybe we can do this again. Disable items then, it might get a bit messy otherwise. Alright, then we have these signs of famine here. Blast should proc this time. But yeah, I mean, the build has so much damage, like it's rather easy overall, I would say. So got Morgoneth's Black Heart, which is like the exclusive drop from this chest here. Nice. Now you wanna check out this vendor every single round, because you do get the conduits here. If you don't have all the conduits yet, right? If you don't have the recipe for this conduit of destructive whispers yet, make sure to check out the vendor here in this dungeon and buy these here. Also always buy the purple mat, because yeah, purple mats for free kinda are kinda nice. Alright, Morgoneth, let's see how we fare against this guy now. He immediately uses his damage reduction thing, are you kidding me? But I mean, you can really see that you can burst this guy down, like, very well. Right. There we go. That was a prime ringer from Morgoneth, but he did proc lots of things this time actually, that's kinda scary. Yeah, last time this went a little bit smoother, as you could see at the start of this video maybe. Yeah, Morgoneth is always kind of a scary boss, even for a build like this. But you do have lots of burst damage with this character. And I mean, yeah, because you have so much damage, but you're kind of squishy, that's kind of basically why I recommend to use, for example, this Heretic relic here to get like another defensive proc, and you can see that I did proc it here in this case even, so yeah, it did its job, right? That's what it's for. And now, last but not least, as tradition dictates kinda for me, let's also try to kill Lokarr again. Alright, so Lokarr himself. Last time I think I used some pots against him, this time I'm gonna do him completely without any pots. And also don't forget, the best defensive mechanic against Lokarr is flat absorption, which means Blast Shield, for example, is gonna be super good, so as long as you have Blast Shield up, feel free to just face take him. Also, Prismatic Diamond basically does the same thing, so Prismatic Diamond is also gonna help out your damage and survivability like quite a bit. Alright, here we go. I mean, if you don't even need Blast Shield, then the build, alright, the fight becomes even easier, but yeah, okay. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this build highlight video. I hope you guys enjoyed this dual wield ranged Defiler build. And if you have any other questions regarding this build, feel free to ask them down below in the comments. Also check out the other videos about this character down below in the build playlist link. And also I want to thank all of my Patreons and Twitch subscribers so much for supporting me. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to kill Lokarr over and over for you guys. What the fuck is the red eyes are still there? What is this? That's so weird. Yeah, thank you so much everybody. See you around on the next one. Hope you like this one. And take care.